Why was the brain afraid of going to the gym? Because it didn't want to get a muscle strain in its membrane. Now, if you're wondering what that means, let me introduce you to the concept of chronic cranial tension. It's like your brain is constantly lifting weights, but unlike your biceps, your brain isn't going to get any buffer from this workout. Instead, it can lead to fatigue and reduced function. Imagine your brain as a little guy in a gym, trying to bench press a weight that's way too heavy. It's straining, it's sweating, but no matter how much it tries, it can't just bulk up to deal with the stress. This is the reality for many of us. Our brains are under constant pressure, feeling like they're perpetually pumping iron. So if your brain feels like it's been doing mental squats all day, stay with me. I promise no actual gym equipment is required. Ever tried to untangle headphone wires? That's your brain on chronic tension, a jumbled mess of wires but with less music and more stress. Ever been in a situation where you're trying to listen to your favorite podcast or jam to your favorite tune, only to spend what seems like an eternity untangling your headphone wires? Imagine that same scenario, but instead of wires, it's the neural pathways in your brain. Sounds like a nightmare, doesn't it? Well, that's what chronic cranial tension can feel like. Now, the good news is, just like those pesky headphone wires, there are ways to untangle your brain. Picture this. Your brain is a giant, overly complicated pair of headphones, and the techniques we're about to discuss are your hands, gently working to untangle the mess. Let's start with breathing exercises. Yep, you heard it right. Breathing. Something we all do every day without even thinking about it. But have you ever tried consciously controlling your breath? Taking slow, deep breaths in, holding for a few seconds, and then releasing? This simple act is like gently pulling at the ends of your tangled brain wire, loosening the knots bit by bit. Next up, we've got mindfulness. Mindfulness is like finding that one wire that's causing all the trouble. It's about focusing on the present moment, not worrying about the past or future. By concentrating on the here and now, you're isolating the problem wire and working to untangle it without creating more knots. Lastly, let's talk relaxation techniques. These are your specialized tools for dealing with those stubborn knots. Yoga, meditation, progressive muscle relaxation. These are all ways to help your brain let go of the tension it's holding on to. It's like using a pair of tweezers to delicately untangle the most stubborn knots in your headphone wires. So are you ready to untangle your brain? Remember, it doesn't have to feel like a jumbled mess of wires. By incorporating these techniques into your daily routine, you can help your brain unwind and function at its best. Remember, your brain doesn't have to be like a pair of tangled headphones. Let's straighten those wires out. You know how they say no pain, no gain? Well, when it comes to your brain, it's more like no strain, lots to gain. You see, your brain isn't a muscle that needs to be flexed and strained to get stronger. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The less tension you have in your cranium, the better your brain functions. Now, I know what you're thinking, but doesn't the brain need exercise too? Well, yes and no. Just as you wouldn't try to do a push-up with your pancreas, your brain doesn't get stronger through physical exertion. So put away those mental sweatbands and cancel your brain's gym membership. Because when it comes to the brain, relaxation is the key to optimal function. And remember, unlike the gym where you might be trying to grow your biceps or quads, in the brain game, there's no such thing as brain muscle. So next time you're feeling the brain burn, remember, this isn't a gym. Put down the mental dumbbells and take a breather. So what have we learned today? That the brain is a terrible weightlifter but an excellent relaxer. Let's recap, shall we? We've unraveled the pesky knot of cranial tension. We've learned that sweating it out at the mental gym isn't necessary. And that's because our brains, unlike our biceps, don't need to pump iron to stay fit. Instead, they thrive on relaxation, on taking a breather, and on savoring the sweet, sweet serenity that comes from simply letting go. Think of it this way. Imagine your brain as a marathon runner, but instead of pounding the pavement, it's cruising on a comfy couch, sipping on a cool glass of serenity. That's right, folks. The key to a fit brain is not in the strain, but in the release of tension. So keep that brain of yours relaxed, let it lounge, let it laze, let it take it easy. Always remember, a relaxed brain is a happy brain. And a happy brain doesn't need a gym membership.